3, 2, 1.
Yo, 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 and welcome to another episode of The Connection Podcast. On today's show, we're going to be talking with Amanda McLernon. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Amanda McLernon from McLernon & Co. She's coming from Denver, Colorado. We're going to be speaking to her on FaceTime Live. We're really excited. She's going to be talking about Instagram for your business, the importance of Instagram for your business. Stick around. You don't want to miss this show.
You're tuned in to the Connection Podcast. We are a team of content creators and digital marketers connecting you each week to successful entrepreneurs and marketing experts that provide informational, inspirational, and motivational success stories in the world of digital marketing.
Welcome, Javon.
Hey, how's it going?
The Connection. Welcome to The Connection. Hector, thanks for being here once again.
Thank you.
I'm pretty pumped about today's show because today's all about the importance of Instagram.
Yeah, personally, I think it's the most powerful tool in social media at this point right now.
Definitely. Before we dive into talking about Instagram, I really want to remind the subscribers, those listening, those viewing, hit that subscribe button. Please take a second right now. Look right below on this video below on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button because without your support, it doesn't really excite us to produce this. But we are now officially on iTunes. That's another exciting thing. I'm super excited. We're on iTunes. We're on Spotify. We're on Stitcher. We are on Google Podcasts. Unfortunately, I can't find the link. It gave me the email, but I think there may be still some needs a couple days to get into that system. But here we are, Instagram for your business.
Yeah. So, well, should I just jump into it?
Jump into
Cool.
it, John. Yeah.
So we all know and love Instagram. We're all on Instagram. Well, most people are on Instagram nowadays. But before it was Instagram, it was actually called Bourbon. Named after like the famous alcoholic beverage,
Nice.
we all love. And it was actually meant for people to like check into locations with their friends, and you earn points for hanging out with your friends, and you post pictures at these hangouts. Back in like 2010, 2009, and around that time, like that stuff was like way too complicated. So there was a fallout, and the creators had to like regroup, and they noticed that people utilized the posting functionality to post pictures. So that's how Instagram was born.
Nice.
Yeah,
What year was that they launched it?
I believe it was 2010.
2010. Yeah. So I personally can remember my first Instagram post, and actually right before we started this show, I went on my Instagram profile and went all the way to the beginning, but I already knew the year, I already knew the time, I visually remember the photo. But when Instagram first came out, I was really hesitant on jumping on. Oh my gosh, another platform?
Yeah, same. I was the same way.
I just didn't want to. I think that's how I am with every platform. You're a little skeptical. Snapchat came out. I was a little skeptical. You know, we're not going to mention any more other social media platforms right now. This is all about Instagram. But in 2011, actually, if you want, pull up my computer. I pulled it up right here. In 2011, I was at the Concours d'Elegance. Here's a throwback. August 25th, 2011, I got 9 likes. 9 whopping likes. Look at that. No hashtag. Actually, look, later on I probably went back and I put Ferrari cars and car hashtag. But that's a $30 million Ferrari I am standing next to.
Sheesh.
I was working at the Concours d'Elegance at Pebble Beach, working freelance for a good buddy of mine. His name's Bill Roden. He has a wonderful production company. Anyways, Instagram, at that moment when I posted that photo, I thought, wow, this is cool. That instant gratification of like everybody's gonna see what I'm doing. Like Facebook was already doing that for us.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna try to stay away from the other platforms today. Try to keep this all things IG. But just that feeling of like, hey, look at what I'm up to, and this simplicity of just putting a photo out there, putting your life. It didn't worry about, you didn't care about the comments, you didn't care about the hashtags, you didn't care about anything. It's like, hey, friends and family, check this out.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah, and eventually in real time. Yeah, it's like, here's where I'm at now. Eventually, that I think started to convert into a lot of people doing like food selfies, and then the platform started going a little wild. But I personally love photography, love seeing people's work, and now throughout the years, the power of Instagram with videos and everything else it does, I think it's a platform you just can't not be without.
Exactly. And that brings me, like, I know you didn't want to like talk about like other platforms, but after 2 years of starting, like Instagram was actually bought out by Facebook.
Right.
Year after, they started monetizing, And then in 2016, that's when they started creating business tools or for accounts. So I think that's kind of like segues into like, our talk today for Instagrams for business.
I don't want to keep our listeners waiting. I also don't want to keep our guest waiting today. Again, typically we have a guest sitting right across from us, but today our guest is on FaceTime. And I'm pretty excited about this guest. Again, Amanda McLernon, she owns a small business. Let's get off my profile for a second. We'll bring up her personal. This is her personal social media profile, but we're not going to scroll through it till she gets on the phone with us. McLernon & Co. is a social media agency based out of Denver, Colorado. And Amanda likes to live by the phrase "keep social media social," which I love. We had the honor of meeting her at this year's California Rodeo, the CA Rodeo. Ooh, Mandy, don't hate me for that one. The rodeo is, again, not only a historic event here in our area, they're one of the largest rodeos throughout the country, and Amanda and her team power their social media. Yep. Let's get Amanda on the line. Let's just chat with her, talk about the importance of Instagram for your business. If you're a small business, a large business, you really haven't dived deep into that Instagram profile, 2019 is the year. There's no holding back, Let's get her on the phone. Amanda, welcome.
Hello.
Howdy.
Thank you.
Hello. Let's get it into landscape mode, and I'm going to pull you up full screen right here. Hi, Amanda. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Awesome. We're doing awesome. We're doing awesome over here. And can you hear us okay?
Yep.
Awesome. Great. Amanda, we were just introducing you just a little bit. We were talking about how we had the pleasure of meeting you at this year's rodeo. And again, we had a whole lot of fun meeting with you, working with your team. You guys do amazing work. And here we are a half year later. We've put together this show. And when I reached out to you, I think that you didn't hesitate to say yes to be one of our masterminds. And I think you do phenomenal work on the IG platform. And we just wanted to be able to touch base with you and learn a lot more. Go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. My name is Amanda McLernon. I am coming to you from my studio in Denver, Colorado. I own McLernon & Co., which is a social media agency. We've got a team of 7 people. And part of the reason I'm in my studio is because we are office searching right now, which is very exciting, but I'm definitely ready to get out of this studio.
Awesome. That's cool.
Alex, what do you want to cover? Is that a quick intro?
No, that's a great quick intro. One of the things we just said right now, and Javon and I, our team talks about it all the time. Since we've met you, keep social media social. Yep. Hey, keep social media social. And you've kind of tattooed that in our brain over 4 days of just being together. And I don't even think it took 4 days. It took here's a sticker and put
it everywhere.
Put it everywhere. And I think we do, and we live by that. And share with us a little bit about that and your saying, your phrase, your hashtag.
Yeah, absolutely. So Keep Social Media Social is the reason that I started this business just a little under 2.5 years ago. So I have had a background in digital marketing, social media for, officially probably the last 6.5 years. But I have been absolutely obsessed with social media since I was a little girl. Frankly, when I was 11, I got on AOL Instant Messenger.
Nice.
I still remember my screen name. It was like Amanda Darling or something adorable.
I remember my screen name too. I sometimes try to log in. I'm like, I don't know it.
Yeah, I can't get my password.
I can't either.
Otherwise, I have tried.
Yeah.
Or I've tried with my MySpace. But
it would be fun, huh? It would be fun.
It would be a little scary. I think it's probably a blessing to not be able to get into that.
So you started in the past.
You started a business 2 years ago. You've been diving into social media. You've been working for social media companies for about 6 years, and you were on AOL at 11. So that makes you 18 years old, 19.
I wish.
No, I'm just joking.
Kidding.
AOL was a little further back, but yes, you're very
A little
young.
bit more old school.
You're very young. I think a lot of us are very young, and we're diving into to being social media managers for companies. I mean, we're good at it, right? We're good at it. We understand it, and there's a need for it. There's a great need for our help in businesses. Wouldn't you agree?
I would definitely agree, and that's how Keeping Social Media Social came to be. So, as I was giving this help through other businesses that were not my own, I noticed businesses really wanting to be on social, and they had a curiosity, they had an interest. But at the time, there was a lot of information out there on the internet about just putting up kind of like salesy posts again and again and again. And, the reason I brought up my obsession with social media is because what started my obsession with social media was not necessarily the platform itself. It was the people who happened to be on the platform. I'm a very, very social person, and I love, this is so ridiculous, but I love people. And so social media was just like where all my friends lived. And as I was starting, to notice in my career, and as I started to get more into more social media, I realized that brands and businesses were doing the right thing by wanting to show up, but they were being very salesy about it. Mm-hmm. And I was actually lamenting, if you will, which is a better word for complaining. I was lamenting to a friend. I was like, I just don't understand why brands and businesses don't, they're just not very social on social media. Yeah. They just want to sell all the time. Mm-hmm. And I don't understand why brands and businesses can't just keep social media social. Mm-hmm. And the minute it came out of my mouth, I was like, we got something here, ladies and gentlemen.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I understand. And, we have a client or a few clients that, occasionally they've asked us, make sure you put our phone number, make sure you put our email address, and make sure that, there's that call to action to get back to us. And in my mind, I really think, I'm thinking, I'm like, we get less attraction when we take away the social aspect of just subliminally putting ourselves out there, and with consistency, consistently keeping ourselves out there. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, and I understand the thought, and I know you guys try to do this with your clients as well, but I always try to educate my clients when we get asked something like that. And the way that I really like to explain it is we've all been at networking events before, right? And you will have just some person and they will come up and they are just so ready to give you their business card. Mm-hmm. They're like, here it is, please take it. Yeah. And you're like, whoa, I'm not cool. I mean, yeah, sure, I'll take it, but I'm definitely going to throw it out later. Yeah. I just won't tell you. Yeah. Sometimes when, that's the way I like to compare it to on social is when you're being a little too salesy, when you're being a little too forward with your contact information or your phone number or your email, and it doesn't make sense, you're being that person. Yeah. No one wants to be that guy. Don't be that guy.
Yeah.
So
I agree with all of this. I want to just take a couple of steps back into the launch of this conversation and really just ask you the direct question. What is the importance of Instagram for your business? I think that's just I think a really important question. Let's just that's the title of our show of this topic. And we're really just hitting our listeners and viewers today with this simple kind of building blocks of let's hope by the end of this show we can inspire some business out there that's maybe got a profile but doesn't post very often. Maybe this may inspire them to get really started and really dive in and really see value and the importance of being on the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me.
No worries.
So let me start off by saying Instagram is still important for your business. Instagram has been along, for quite some years now. We're definitely not on the new or the starting end of Instagram anymore. If you are new to the platform, you still have time to have success on Instagram. If you have been on the platform for a very long time, despite what you might read about the algorithm, you can still have success on Instagram. And the reason that you want to be on Instagram is because a couple of very, very specific reasons, and I'm going to try to stay streamlined today so that we can get to them all. But number one, Instagram is still one of the fastest growing platforms on social media. People continue to flock to it. Users continue to flock to it day over day. And it's, even though the algorithm is challenging, it is still the fastest growing, and you still want to be there when your clients are looking for you or looking for a business like you. From a branding standpoint, Instagram gives you a grid, which is unlike any other social media platform. And it allows you as a user to see a lot of content at once. What I mean by the grid is when you pull up Instagram, and Alex, I think you actually had my profile pulled up.
I do.
A little earlier. Can you?
Let's pull it back up. Yep.
Show you what I mean by when I say the word grid so that our audience knows what we're talking about.
And here we go. I have your page. Would you like your business page?
Yeah, just pull up my page, and I'm going to have you scroll to where you can see a couple photos. I can't see what's on your screen anymore.
Oh,
so
hang on
I'm
one
going to kind of talk
one second. I'll make sure that you could see. Just give me one technical difficulty. Okay, so here we go. Now you can see your page.
Yeah. So see the layout of all of those photos in like in a grid.
Yeah.
The 3 by however many, if you will.
Yeah.
There's no other social platform that lets you see all of that content all at once. If you go on Facebook, if you go on Facebook and you go to someone's profile, you're still having to scroll. This gives you so much creative freedom and like ability to do really awesome things for your brand. The other cool thing about Instagram just in general is it's such a visual platform, more than any other social platform out there. And that really allows to show a side to your brand that you, frankly, have been a little bit creatively restricted on some other platforms before. So I think another good opportunity for brands and businesses out there, just to be on Instagram is just because it's a great way to show, literally show the different aspects of your company. So I would say between the growth of Instagram, the ability to showcase really cool content, photography, videography for your company. And then finally, and this is what gets me all excited, this is going to be a deeper level tactic. So I don't know how deep we'll go into this today because I know we're trying to get into some deeper level things later in podcasts.
Yes.
But through Instagram, there is such a capability to connect with other users who are people. Even if it's a business account, there's still a person running it.
Yes. Yep.
In a way that you can't on other social media platforms through the direct messaging tool.
Right.
On Facebook, as a business, you can't message individuals.
Right.
On Instagram, you can.
Right.
And now, trust me, there are wrong ways to do this, and I see people do it all the time. I literally have an inbox in my message right now of someone trying to sell me internet. I'm like, don't use Instagram that way, please, everyone. But when you actually can connect in a non-salesy way, in a genuine way, keeping social media social, that tool and that ability to connect with a person in that way is incredible. And then I guess the only other final thing is the other reason that businesses are going to want to be on Instagram as well is because Instagram allows you the opportunity to be found by your target client or target audience through the use of hashtags. How much do you want me to go down that rabbit hole? I can explain that a little if you want.
I think that hashtags are really a whole conversation within themselves, how they could strategically be used, how you could be hashtagging whatever is trending that day or that moment, similar to Twitter, and people don't understand the power of that. So we could really dive deeper into that in another show. But
perfect. But the only thing I'll say, just related to that thought of being found by your target audience, the primary goal of hashtags is to categorize your content. So, for example, if someone searches Salinas Media, that's a categorization. And you would want, I'm just going to use Mag 1 as the example. You would want Mag 1 to show up in that type of search. So a lot of people don't realize what an incredible search tool hashtags are. And users are out there searching 4 different hashtags.
Yeah.
And they're doing this now. I mean, it's definitely obviously not as much as Google, but we have seen reports and we've seen basically we've seen some results that do show that people are searching hashtags on Instagram as much as they used to search on Pinterest.
Wow.
Which is fascinating.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And that search button on top, on your phone, it's the button. On the web browser, it's again, I'll go back to the web browser just for a second, and you can't see this at the moment. Now you can. But our search right here on top, I've seen users where they're like, I can't find it, or I'm searching, and they're searching in some unique way, like clothing, and they just think it's a Google search. They think that they're searching similar to like Google, and but then they're quickly finding like clothing hashtag, which then takes them to girls in bikinis.
It's definitely not foolproof. That's for certain.
And I wanted to just really quickly, as you were explaining, again, it's visually stimulating, and I think humans are just visually stimulated, by great content. But what I love about whether, again, I'm on the desktop version, but this is true on desktop as well as on your phone. Just look at your personal page right here. From the top, I quickly know who you're at. On the top, I've quickly got a website. I can click over to your website if I wanted to. And then these beautiful icons that you've got that are your saved stories there.
Yeah.
And your highlights, yes. And then on a phone, you're usually seeing your top 6. I believe it's usually about your top 6. So boom, right off the bat, users are like, do I like that company? Do I like that person? Do I like that brand? So they're turned on to it right away, or they're turned off by it right away. And I think a lot of people are not really understanding how that's used and the importance of that.
Yeah. Nope, that's so important. And it's so nice to be able to give such a quick visual representation of your business and your brand. And if you do it well, which it doesn't need to be too challenging. I think a lot of people try to make it more challenging than it is.
Yeah.
But if you do it, like, what a great opportunity to connect with another target and perfect client or customer.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Absolutely. What are Javon, did you have a question?
Yeah, so I know you talked about like Instagram being like purely visual, and what I've noticed as a social media manager myself is that people like pictures of people. So then how do you say like strategize for like a company whose product doesn't involve necessarily
people.
like people or like or a product, like seeing the product or seeing like a product being made or
That's a great question. Maybe you want to pull up one of our clients for the answer, Alex, and I can kind of show you.
Sure. Cool.
Just to help with this. And I know we had a workaround, but I can't see the screen when we pull something up.
Go.
That's okay.
Now
I can, but sometimes I can't.
That's when go ahead.
I think it's when it's full screen that I can't. I'm not entirely sure. But either way, I can still talk to it as long as I kind of know what's on there.
Uh-huh.
Will you do me a favor? Let's see. Who do we want to pull up? I'm going to have you pull up TrueFru. It's tru.fru. This is a client of ours. They're a product-based business.
TRUF?
TRU.FRU.
Here we go.
And then if you just scroll down and just kind of scroll through their feed just a little bit, you're going to see some product-based shots that are just product, but you're also going to see some people with the product. Yeah. This is a type of a client who they're not really public with like who their owners are or who like is in their office. Because my first answer to your question is, if you can try to bring in who's in the business, that's always awesome. People love to know. More than ever, we're seeing in people people care about why you're in business, not just what you do for business. And a lot of the reason that most people are in business goes with the people. So my first suggestion is, if you're a product-based company, but you are very public with your owners or your management team or your sales staff or anyone, try to get them in your feed. Now,
Okay.
if that's not possible, this is an example where we use user-generated content and influencers to basically get photos of the product with people. And it's
Nice.
people that people care about. Even if they're a micro-influencer, people still care about them. So it's a good way to basically get the product in the hands with a person. And at the same time, though, you still see we have plenty of product-based photos there that are only product. But we always like to pull in people because you're exactly right. People just continue to perform. Again, that goes back to keeping social media social.
Yeah.
That's
I
like
love it.
people are there to be social with people. So that's how does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely.
And does that make sense? We always try to bring that in.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
If it's a brand that's totally not people oriented, what I mean by that is like if it doesn't make any sense to have any people in your content, try to think this is a really interesting tip, but I love this.
Go ahead.
We try to create characters for our clients. Okay, so when you're thinking about social media, you should always be kind of thinking about storytelling, okay? And you're telling the brand story, you're telling the product story. There's so much storytelling that you're doing. Well, what do stories have? Well, stories have a plot. Stories also have characters, okay? And characters don't necessarily need to be people. So I know in the past we've done things where we characterize this is relating to my brand, but in my personal brand, especially in the summer, my bike is a character in my newsfeed. I named my bike. My bike's name is Scrappy. Do you like that?
Oh, we've seen that. I've seen that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And oh, my bike is back there. It's black.
I see it. We see it. Scrappy.
But anyway, so even if your product or your service doesn't necessarily have a human component to it, think about what other characters your brand has or could have. I've even seen someone, I'm going to try to think of this example. I think they personified their refrigerator. I'm not going to remember which account. This was a long time ago. But it was just a kind of more of a service-based business, maybe one that you wouldn't expect to see on Instagram. I think it was like some type of car company. I'm sorry, I'm totally forgetting this example right now because it was a while ago.
No worries.
But they personified their fridge. And their fridge kept showing up in their story, like in their feed, in funny ways. And they tied it back to the business. They tied it back to the team. So it made sense. It wasn't just random content. But that's definitely a tip I like for bringing in a character when there's not necessarily a human.
I love that. I never actually really considered that element of storytelling, you know what I mean, or telling a story in that direction, you know. Usually, for example, like myself, I tell my own personal story on my personal Instagram with my family and my, you know, sometimes I'm at a video shoot, and this is who I am as a person, telling my own story, powering my own account. But that's interesting, you know, the adding that extra element, such as Scrappy, you know, and then people are attracted to that. They're drawn to it, and they don't really know why. We don't really know why or understand, like, why am I so drawn to this profile? It's that bike, or it's that, you know, or something like that, you know. But that's great. No, that's really that's awesome.
It's
that's
like Carl the Fog in San Francisco. That's
Yes!
the name of the fog. Yeah. now it makes sense. To me. Like, why do I want to follow an Instagram about the fog in San Francisco?
Nice.
You know?
Yeah, well, because it's hilarious and because he's got a personality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think, you know, Instagram also, businesses have not just with the visual content, but with the playfulness of the platform, businesses have such an opportunity to, you know, obviously they still need to be on brand for their overall business, but Instagram is meant to be more fun. That's why people love Instagram. You know, people really migrated from Facebook a couple years ago. We all know, like, we see a bunch of politics on there. We see a bunch of, like, rants. We see a bunch of whatever. Right. And don't get me wrong, I still love Facebook. I'm just saying, in terms of platforms, Instagram has the reputation of the younger I'm sorry, I'm gonna say this, but like the younger, funner sister.
Yeah. No, yeah.
I agree.
That's awesome. There's no ratings on this show, so we could say whatever we like.
I figure it's a podcast. We got to have a little bit of humor in it,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Or a little bit of playfulness. But that's what people love about Instagram too. And brands just have such an opportunity where they can be more playful and more creative using this platform, because that's what people expect on this platform.
Yeah, absolutely. I dig it.
Mm-hmm.
I dig it. Speaking directly to somebody who has no account, a business owner or maybe a manager out there that's been asked to let's get something started. What are you going to tell them directly right now? Maybe it might be something about you can also create ads on this platform. You can also besides just the photo sharing, the video sharing, the now IGTV sharing, we don't have to go in depth into any of those things and how deep really Instagram goes, but just share some quick, 30 seconds or 45-second little, however long you want to take. But you get what I'm trying to say. Give me a commercial on why they should be signing up and using this platform.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, a little commercial. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Okay. I would say if you are just starting to wrap your arms around Instagram, if you're just starting to get on, if you're just starting to think about it, this just gives you such an opportunity to showcase your brand in a way that you really can't on any other platform. And there's so, like Alex said, we're not going to go into detail on some of these, but there are so many platforms within Instagram, like IGTV, like Instagram stories, even like the swipe feature on the day-to-day feed.
Carousel.
On the normal news feed, there are so many opportunities to tag collaborators or people that you work with. And then there's also the opportunity to tag physical products and have e-commerce sales directly through,
when I first seen that, I was mind blown. When I went to a profile yesterday and literally a little button came up over their images, Yep. I'm like, how do we get that? Because they're in e-commerce. It was just, it's just mind blowing. The more and more they're implementing every single day, it seems like.
Oh yeah. And people want to use the platform to find services and to shop. I'm going to give you guys a couple of examples, and honestly, that's how I best convinced to use the platform. So, I talk with my hands and I'm wearing some rings. I have a thing for jewelry. Okay, I love it. I love to buy rings. I love to shop. I follow so many jewelry accounts, seriously, probably a ridiculous amount. It's unhealthy for my budget. But it is so easy for me to be served a piece of jewelry in my newsfeed, and all I have to do, and by the way, because I follow some jewelry that I'm like, oh, I'll buy this once a year because it's very expensive, and then there's also jewelry where I'm like, oh, I can buy one piece a month, just because the price difference. With one tap, when there's that e-commerce availability enabled, which by the way, you don't need a certain number of followers to enable that. You just need an e-commerce store. I can see, is this piece in my price range right now or is it not? And as a consumer, that moves me from the awareness level to that decision-making process, through that marketing funnel very, very quickly. Whereas previously I'd have to be like, well, I don't really know how much it is if they don't tell you, which, they want your click. Yeah. So normally they're not going to tell you. Well, then I have to decide to click, and then I have to wait for it to open and load, and now I'm not scrolling anymore. And as a consumer, that's just not the experience I want to have. Yeah. I just want to click it really fast and see, is this in my budget? Yeah. Can I buy this ring? Yep. And then I'll go even deeper. So let's say, yes, I can afford the ring or whatever. So then I can click right from there, and I can get directly to that ring's page. I can check out within 2 minutes. True. And so I just went from scrolling to making a $50 to $60 purchase in under 3 minutes.
Right. Yeah, that's amazing to
Powerful.
Me, and it's captured me many times.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh damn, you've got jewelry and I've got shoes. I got a shoe problem.
It's a problem.
Actually, that link they got me yesterday was definitely it was a shoe store. One of the questions, one of the last questions that I wanted to ask you was, And I'm sure you've heard it many times, and we've all heard it. Marketers ruin a platform. And here we are, we're marketers, talking about marketing on a platform. Instagram and even Facebook doesn't seem to be dying with marketers, invading the platform. The youth are still sticking with it, and our moms and our grandmas are on it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just Facebook. And my 13-year-old son constantly says, "Dad, you're old. You're on Facebook." You know what I mean? But I mean, there's all ages on Instagram. There's all ages on. I mean, I follow photographers that are well into their 60s. I'm confident of that. Share your insights on that.
Yeah. So here's the thing: marketers ruin a platform when. Can I swear on this podcast?
Of course, yeah.
Marketers ruin a platform when they're being shitty marketers.
Yeah.
There are ways to even sell and still do a good job. I'm not saying you need to not sell. I'm just saying you don't want to be completely annoying. I'm going to use the ring example again. Look, I follow these jewelry accounts because I like the jewelry and I want to buy jewelry. When we follow brand accounts, we don't only expect them ever to be posting just stories all the time or something else. No, we're following the brand because we expect to be marketed to. But we want to be marketed to in the way that the platform, the way that we're supposed to be marketed to. Right. So the ring companies have gorgeous photos. I expect nothing less. Do you know what I mean? Like if I'm going to look at a nice piece of jewelry, I want it to look good. And if I'm on Instagram is a visual platform. I want the photo to look good. If they were to put up a blurry, you know what I mean? Like a blurry, blown out piece of something, I'd be like, that doesn't look good. I don't want to buy that buy that, and I don't follow it. And then also, if they even just think, and this so goes back to keeping social media social. Yeah. Think about the friends that you want to delete. Okay, we all know. We all know someone who
we want to delete. I need to delete them tomorrow.
Yeah, we want to delete them, and they're all caps. Yeah. And I'm yelling at you. Yeah. And oh my gosh, we don't want to follow that person. Don't be that person as a marketer. Yeah. The way that marketing ruins social channels is when they're having bad behavior as that you know what I mean? Like an individual would. And as long as you don't do that, you can have a lot of success on the platforms. And people do want to see brands. And frankly, they don't, even though they say they might not want to be advertised to or marketed to, if it doesn't feel super salesy and if it doesn't feel like marketing, trust me, people use these platforms to buy millions and billions of dollars of purchases a year. Yeah. It works. They're going to stay on it. Yeah. You just have to talk to them like they're a person.
Yeah, definitely. This brought up another question in my head. I said last question, the last couple questions here as we're rolling down to the end of this show, just for time's sake, and we're going to continue. And we hope that we have you back on other future shows. And again, you're the mastermind of Instagram, and I'm sure you could talk. We could talk for another 10 hours. So I think that would be a lot of valuable content. And we look forward to having you back and back again and again. Another question just popped up in my as you were saying that. In reverse, when somebody wants to hire McLernon and Co. From a business, and they're looking for an agency to represent their company, what are when they ask you, well, it looks like you're doing the same thing for multiple profiles, maybe, or maybe you're, how important is it? What do you tell them to instill that confidence that we are that best team for you? We can, we understand your market. We understand, you know what I'm saying? How do you manage that and balance that? Does that make sense? Does my question make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, here's the thing. Everyone's using similar platforms, right. And there's best practices across the platforms that, frankly, almost everyone should be following. But again, it goes back to people, and this is all about the keeping social media social thing again. You can have millions and millions and millions of people on social media. Well, why can there still be so many influencers, and why can there still be so many individuals who have a voice? And do you know what I mean? And the answer is the individuality and the personality of those people. Yeah. And there's a ton of space on the internet for individuals. I love it. Now, the reason that like we say like, yes, go ahead and work with us. Yes, we work with a lot of clients. We have similar types of strategies is because, well, first, we will not work with two direct competitors just because that doesn't make any sense to me as an agency. But the second thing is, I guarantee, even if you're in a similar industry, your story and the way that, first of all, you have already told your story before you even come to us. And then the way that we're going to help continue to tell your story is very different than the way that other brands are going to tell their story.
Yeah,
and
I figured you would go back on touching on.
About.
I would figured you were going to go back and touch on telling that story, and every business tells a different story. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Javon,
so
any last comments? Any last things you may?
I think, she kind of covered all the bases for me. I had some stuff written down, but now it's all
it's all out the window.
Yeah.
Amanda McLernon. I always I don't know if I'm butchering your last name.
No, you did it perfect. Good job.
Thank you. Where can listeners find your company?
Yeah, absolutely. So we would love to have you follow us on Instagram. We're McLernon and Co. We also have a free Facebook group where we give social media tips, advice. We talk about some of our favorite creative, which I shared a hilarious social media campaign in there today. It's not one we run, but you will want to check it out. It's for Valentine's Day. I swear to God, might be the best campaign I've ever seen.
Awesome.
That's called Keep Social Media Social. All you have to do is search that on Facebook and then hit groups.
Cool.
So that you find the group and then request to join it. And then feel free to follow me on Instagram as well. And I'm Amanda McLernon.
Awesome.
Nice.
Thank you again so much for being our mastermind of Instagram. Thank you for being on the show with us today. We look forward to our next show. We look forward to having you on the next one. Yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any last words before we let you go?
I mean, I would encourage everyone to keep social media social and try to memorize it and think about it every single day when they're showing up to the platforms.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Amanda.
Beautiful.
Until the next time. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye for now. Everybody, that was Amanda. What'd you think?
That was a lot of information.
Gosh, that was so insightful, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was incredible. A lot of good insight, a lot of good information. I mean, I think any business that hasn't really jumped on the platform or hasn't really taken full advantage of it, now's the time.
It's not just for specific businesses. You don't even need to have a physical product, and you could make it work for yourself.
Yeah.
So any business could use Instagram.
Shit, that was awesome. That's a good way to end it. Yeah. Shit, that was awesome. Yeah, no, awesome. That was really awesome. Thank you, Amanda McLernon from McLernon & Co. Again, thank you for being a guest on our show. If you have any questions for Amanda, be sure to send her a note, visit her, follow her on Instagram. And also, if you have any questions for us or have any quick comments on this show, I really invite you to make a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe. We're super pumped. We're also on iTunes now, Spotify, Stitcher. Make sure you're subscribing to us on one of your favorite, whatever your favorite podcast, place is. And that's all the time we have for today. Until next week.
Stay tuned.
Follow us on Instagram, Mag1Media, at Mag1Media. We'll definitely be dropping our next show's topic. And that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to the connection. Till next week. Peace.